bit out of tune. Hey folks, how you doing? It's Nick Granville coming to you from Wellington, New Zealand. Hope everybody. Oh, there's the culprit. I knew it. Actually, let's change that a little bit. That's better. There we go. Live streaming a little later today. Sorry about that. Kind of got caught up with a few other things. I can't stand out of tune guitars. Just gonna get this sorted first. Right, there we go. Yeah, like that sound. How's everybody doing? Sunday night here, 8:30 p.m.-ish, Wellington, New Zealand time. Let me just find that. Oh, I know what I'll do. Here we go. No, that shouldn't be coming through. There we go. Now I know why. Right. Let's go save. That one. Right, done one. Here we go. Save. Now I can see your comments. Cool. Decided today I'd do a video earlier which was about the Nano Cortex and then kind of do the live stream later in the day. I kind of got caught up with a few things, but I kind of wanted to talk about the Nano Cortex. It's an interesting thing. I've sort of been thinking about that unit a little bit. I've kind of needed some kind of small factor backup plan for all this stuff because, you know, with my gigs, you can't rely on gear. You've got to have some backup for everything, right? And so I was thinking, like, would that be a viable backup? And I don't know. I'm not totally sure. I'm not sure that capturing is necessarily better than modeling. You know, can I capture a sound of my own that's better than what, say, Fractal or Kemper or whoever else would do? I don't know. I'm not convinced. Right, let's find that playlist and we're good. Thank you for the kind words too about the Georgia video that I put out the other day. I've been kind of thinking about that tune a lot too. It's such a great tune. It's beautiful. We've been playing that with Neil Billington with his band, or the Neil and Nick band when we do the stuff together. And I've really enjoyed playing that song. It's been great, you know. And I always love Ray Charles playing it. Let's start with a tune. This is a track. Let's do this. I've been really enjoying playing this guitar lately too. And one of the reasons I quite enjoyed playing this guitar is like I've got the pickup sorted now, right? So sort of all of that's really working. Now, one thing I haven't got is the treble bleed going. I kind of tried some stuff the other day and didn't really get it to where I want. So tomorrow I'm going to do a bit more experimenting with it to try and get the treble bleed exactly where I want, which would be great. But it's the one thing I like about this guitar is I don't see people playing these, and that's kind of cool to play something that other people aren't doing. You know what I mean? Now, how many people play a Strat? How many people play a Tele? Whatever, you know. It's kind of nice to be playing something that I don't see people playing. So that's kind of part of it, at least for me. Anyway, I'll play a track. Yeah, that's a fun track to play to. Kind of funky blues type thing. I'm just going to get a guitar strap. Oh, great. And I got it tangled on my microphone. Typical. Nothing's ever easy in my studio. There's the microphone going crazy now too. Yeah, hopefully that's still out of the screen. So yeah, that's a fun track actually. That's by Jam Tracks channel. I like this stuff. I'm just gonna put a guitar strap on. I'm finding that guitar kind of moving around, which is no fault of its own. It's just me. These trousers don't have any kind of grip either. Short things I've got on. There we go. That's better. So I was watching this video the other day of Rick Beato, and he was saying it was about the reasons that he thought David Gilmour would never come on his channel. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's kind of interesting. And he was talking about how YouTube is kind of crushing traditional media now, and I think that's kind of interesting. I first noticed that about 6 or 7 years ago, I think it was. And there was this Thai guitar player, Thai guy from Thailand, coming to tour through New Zealand, and hadn't done any albums, hadn't really played with anyone, but the main thing on the poster was something like how has had 6 million views on YouTube or something like that, or 6 million subscribers, whatever it was. It was some kind of figure that was kind of all about that, and I thought that's interesting. That's the first time it's kind of had got to that point where being YouTube actually was a little bit more of a specific thing. And so Rick was talking about how YouTube is really crushing a lot of traditional media. The more people watch YouTube than watch Netflix, you know, even in terms of watch hours and all that kind of stuff. I thought that's interesting. And I was thinking about my own kind of use of YouTube. I probably watch more YouTube than anything else. Definitely more than Netflix, that's for sure. And he was saying one of the issues with having someone like David Gilmour come on his channel is that Gilmour, his publicist, is old school and probably just doesn't understand YouTube yet. So he's not even sure that he'll ever get someone like that on the channel. I think eventually everybody kind of comes around to all that stuff. I've been experimenting with that amp sounds a little different than what I normally use. So that's the it's called the Texas Star. So it's basically a Mesa Boogie Lone Star. The same amp, just with less gain. While it's fresh, here's my standard clean tone. Match the volume. So definitely more mid-range in it. A little more compressed. It's got a different kind of compression structure and volume. It's probably running a little hot actually, that amp. Any questions? Any stuff you want to know? As I mentioned earlier, I'm kind of a little late to the live stream today. I caught up with other stuff. It was such a beautiful day in Wellington. Hence, got the old shorts on. Probably the first time this year I've worn shorts. I'm looking forward to getting the treble bleeds sorted in here. I kind of was experimenting the other day and I couldn't quite get it to where I wanted it. So I'm going to do some experimenting. I went to JCar and I bought a couple of alligator clips. So just a wire with a couple of little clips on the end. And what I'm going to do is clip them on into the pot on the inside, and then I can just sort of change components out and see which one kind of does the best before soldering it in. I'm not particularly good at soldering. And the thing is, after about the third or fourth go of kind of experimenting with different things, I was like, I shouldn't just keep doing this. I had a clips, and I bought a whole heap of resistors and capacitors, and I'm just going to experiment, see what works best for this guitar, because that's the one of the things I find with treble bleeds is like the value is different depending on which guitar it's going into. So I don't traditionally like them on a lot of guitars, but on this guitar it really does need it. It gets quite dark quite quick. And here there's a lot of kind of top enders gone on it. And P90s I find generally are more susceptible. Must be something about the way they kind of work with the pot control or something. There's a CTS 500K pots, so pretty standard. I don't think I'd ever bother putting in another pot other than a CTS. You know what I mean? They just kind of work. So yeah, if there's something you want to know, let me know. Any questions, any comments? Anything you've seen that I've posted lately and you want to have a discussion about it, let me know. Typically use that setting. Do you guys use that those two pickups? The only time I ever do it is if I'm going to try and do this sort of thing. So, yeah, that sort of sound. Question. Mitchell says, hey, I'm learning the G major scale starting from the 3rd fret. So there, yep. I know the scale off by heart and can play backing tracks, but I'm struggling to move it around to other keys. Okay, yeah, that's a good thing to do, right? So start G major scale, just starting here and be. Let's get that tuned. Right, and then backwards. Right. Now, the thing with that is that you want to have that down so you don't have to think about it, right? You just want to be able to go. You know, we could have a conversation about what you were up to today, because you don't have to think about it anymore. Right? You don't have to think about it anymore. It's just kind of under your fingers, right? And then, you know, try and make music with it. Yep, so Ionian, major scale, same thing, just by a different name, right? Ionian is just the Greek, traditional Greek name, so I think they were Greek tribes of some sort. If anyone knows, let me know where the names came from, like Lydian and Dorian and so on. But Ionian is just the proper name. Major scale is the other name for it. Yeah, so that's shape 1, right? And that's the beginning of it. It's G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. Right? Pretty simple. And then use that to make music. right? And just use it to make music, try backing tracks, all that kind of stuff. And then to move it to other keys, you just take, if you know this is G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C. Let's move it to C. It's a nice easy one. That's up a fourth, right? So we go C major. And then use that to make music, right? Until you can really use it and get it over a backing track, then try another key and another key. But I find, like, to go from, say, G to G sharp, it's not particularly useful, right? But a better way to look at it when you're practicing this is go, say, from G to C. They're far enough away that it's going to look different in terms of the whole makeup of it. It's going to sound different because you're in a different part of the neck, all that kind of stuff, right? So maybe you do G, maybe you do C, maybe you do E flat, and just start with keys like that, right? And then try and make real music with it. But that's kind of only part of the picture. Nothing to do would be to start like expanding it out across the neck, right? Want to know it in all positions. So shape 1. I've done plenty of videos back on this, so have a look back through my guitar dailies. There actually is one. I did a playlist too where you can see all of the Guitar Daily episodes. So go to that and search for major scale and you'll find it. But shape 1. Right, if I go up to C, a better way to do it is instead of like playing G here and C here, try and play them both in the same position. So let's go maybe our C major where we did it, and then try and play G major there, right? So we know this would be shape 1. Shape 2 would start here and look like this. Right, and then if we move up 1, shape 3 would start here and would look like this. You might say that's the Phrygian shape in terms of what it looks like. Still G major. I'm still thinking over a G major chord. So this is G. And then go up to C. Right? That's after you've, individually learned G and individually learned C. Then try and see if you can do them without moving around so much. And that'll sort of force you to kind of go, okay, well, I'm going to play shape 3 for G major here, shape 1 for C major, and say I went to E flat major. What would be shape 5 for E flat major? Right, so now we got in terms of 3 keys, 1 position, right? And by the time you've done this, it might kind of seem like an interesting kind of exercise to do. You go, oh, why am I kind of bothering doing this sort of stuff? But what it's helping you to do is to expand your knowledge of these scales, right? They're becoming a little more immediate. So that now if we're back in G, we now know shape number 1, we know shape number 3, and we know shape number 5 by doing that. But more importantly, we have some kind of context to how they fit to the key, right? And we can change keys easily. Right? So if we're playing a song that maybe goes, let me just tune that. Can't stand out of tune guitars. It's been quite warm here today, so maybe that's what it is. Changes key up to C. You can now kind of go through that key without kind of disrupting your musical idea. Give that a try. I hope that helps. Yeah, but also give yourself some time with it too. The other thing to remember with anything that you're learning, like this scales, arpeggios, any of that kind of stuff, it's just going to take a bit of time, right? I think that's one of the things is that people often want things to be quite immediate. I know I do. I like, if I'm learning something, I'm like, well, I want to be able to do it today. But I've got to keep reminding myself and go, no, it actually takes time to do this stuff and really embed it in your playing. Certain things that as you play, it's a Hal Ketchum song. I don't know who that is. Sorry. Um, the one I was playing before. This I mean, a heap of songs with. It's kind of Bryan Adams sort of vibe, isn't it? That sort of thing, right? I'll probably get a copyright strike now. Thanks, YouTube. Um, Robert, hey, I'm doing good, thanks. How are you doing? How's life? Had a nice sunny day today. I got out on the house. I went out. We've got a two-level house, and on the second level there's a little deck area outside. It's only really small, but got out on there today. It was nice and sunny, and I looked from there into the gutters in the first level, and I was like, there's like plants growing in there and shit. I was like, ah. So guess what I'm doing today? So it was a beautiful day, so I got the ladder out and got out there, and it's the guaranteed thing to kind of wreck your hands because, the edges of where the edge of the roof comes down and the gutter kind of hangs under that. You put your hand in to scoop the crap out, and all of a sudden you're like scratching up your hands on the edge of the roof. It's kind of rough. Yeah, but got to be done. And next time there's heavy rain, at least I know the water's going to be flowing out and not being an issue. Robert says, I'm great, man. Going to do some jamming with a friend tonight who recently picked up the guitar. Nice. It's always good to get together and play with people, right? That's what we do this stuff for, right? We practice stuff to play. I've actually been thinking about some of these live streams and actually thinking, maybe I should just invite someone along to play, if you all would be into that, maybe, and not necessarily a guitar player, it could be a saxophone player or a bass player or someone, and just play some tunes for people. It'd be kind of fun. I'd be into that. Good morning, Ohad. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your surname. Otherwise, I would. Good morning. I'm in an amateur jazz group, and the singer, who has a great voice, always messes up the rhythm. She can't counter any or something. Any tips to deal with that? Yeah, that's a common problem that I've found with a lot of singers. Even some really good ones, they kind of then the singers aren't often thinking about songs like the way that guitar players are. Same thing with dancers too, right? I used to play on a TV show called Dancing with the Stars. I don't know if you have that in every country, but it was a very popular television show here, and I did that gig for about 5 years, and it was always interesting to me that the dancers would always go 5, 6, 7, 8 in. And that's how they think about it, right? They're thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So when we're thinking bars 1, 2, 3, 4, they're actually thinking two bar patterns, right, for everything. So that's why 5, 6, 7, 8. That's one bar counting on the second bar of how they're thinking about it. And I think singers sometimes think about it that way too. They're thinking about phrasing, they're not necessarily thinking 1, 2, 3, 4 all the time. They probably are, but like they're thinking like, I don't know, something like, on a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair. They might be thinking that from Hotel California, like as a phrase, it's its own kind of thing. So I think sometimes with singers, they do kind of mess up those bars where they have gaps or whatever. Really good singers will sit there and write it down for themselves. Like they'll write 8 bars rest on their lyric sheet, on their music stand or whatever. So that can help maybe get the singer to write down how many bars to rest or whatever. But even if it's just one bar and they're coming back in the wrong place, the thing we can do as instrumentalists is just like try and spell stuff out if it's not going right, because it's not our job to necessarily point out that it's wrong. It's our job to try and make it as seamless for the singer as possible, right? So what I would do is if it's something like I don't know, I'm just gonna jam something. Maybe the chords sits here for a while and there's no rhythm, and then the singer's got to go 2, 3, dun, dun, with their melody, right? I would go. So there I kind of had a little pickup into it so that it's really clear, right? And what you want to do is, if you make it really, really clear the first time you do it, the singer will go, oh, there's my note, right? And they know when to come in, and they kind of find it. If they don't, then just do it again until they do, right? Everyone will get there eventually. If the singer's good, then they'll know what to do, right? And they'll find their way, and then that's good. And then as things get better, right, you can start to decrease what you do in that gap. Right, so maybe in rehearsal you'll be playing like more through that gap and a big build up to lead back into the chord coming back in. But as the singer's getting more comfortable, maybe you play half as many notes, and then half again and half again until you're down to just what it is. Sometimes too, there's like, you've got to kind of breathe together. There's that whole thing in music of breathing together. You really see that in orchestras, right, where they learn to feel upbeats of things to come in together, right? And so I find that with singers too, is the more we do this stuff and work together, that all those little things start to iron themselves out, because you kind of learn to breathe together. But yeah, that's what I suggest, is just sort of put it there. Sometimes too, what a drummer can do is go 1, 2, 3, smack on the snare, and then in with the cymbal, right? So if they put that snare drum on beat 4, that could be all it takes for the singer to know to come in. Maybe the drummer could play a fill that helps the singer come in. There can be all kinds of things we can do. I mean, every scenario is different, so without having heard that scenario, I'm not particularly sure. But I would say that, like, just do what you can to try and help them, because that's what we're all in this together, right? If we're on a gig, and all of us, our job is there really to support the singer, because we all look good if we support the singer, right? Because the music's good. So that's what I suggest, is like do what you can to try and support them. So say the other thing too is, if sometimes with singers too, I found if you're getting too complex, you're not helping them at all, right? If I play a chord like this, right, it's a B flat major 9, major 13 really. The poor singer might have to sing an F note, right? Maybe that's their melody note, is an F note. I literally have a voicing with no F note in it. How the hell are they supposed to find that in there, especially when my top note is a G, right? Now, I could kind of look at it and go, well, the singer's wrong. They should be able to find their note against their chord. Better way is if I go, there's the melody note right there. Then the singer can find it, right? And the good thing about that is, look after the singer, and they'll typically look after you. They'll start giving you more gigs, right? So I find something like that could be all it takes. It's just like a note on the top of a chord, a rhythm that helps set it up, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, Robert says, oh no, hands are so precious to guitar players. They totally are. I'm super careful with my hands. I mean, I knew today what I was doing was not really going to injure my hands with clearing out the gutters, but it was enough to kind of be annoying. The worst one I find is if I'm kind of get out in the garden too much, or if I'm in the garage too much and do a whole lot of sanding of wood or whatever. I think I've mentioned it before, I like doing woodworking and my hands get really sore. I only ever do that stuff if I haven't got any gigs on, which has been a bit quiet lately. It's a funny time in Wellington at the moment. Would be awesome. Robert says, it'd be awesome to see you play would be awesome to see you play with someone. Love to observe your interplay and learn from that. Yeah, good idea. I should do it, shouldn't I? I think they kind of bridge the live stream thing too, to just not be about guitar, to be about music, which is for me really what it's all about. It's about music. We talk about gear quite a bit on this channel, because the gear helps you make music. But ultimately, the music is the thing I really care about the most. So, trouble with pickup notes. Yeah, it often is, isn't it? It's the pickup note. 1, 2, 3. Dun, dun. They have something like that where they got to come in on the 4 or something. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you thought it was a good answer. I hope it helps. It's funny though, I remember working with a singer one time, and we played a bunch of songs, and we actually did this rehearsal we were doing a TV show at the time, and it was just her and I, was called the Good Morning Show, and we were going to do a feature on it. And we played a rehearsal, and after the rehearsal she said to me, wow, she goes, it was actually really easy today. She said, I didn't think vocals and guitar actually really work together, right? And I said, well, why do you say that? And she said, well, the last guitar player I used, I couldn't find my note constantly. I know who he is. He's a good friend, and he was like, the chords he was playing was too complex. And most of the time, what I was doing, to be honest, when I was working with her, was just really simple. It was like, this sort of thing, just like really just as simple as I could make it. And then she knew exactly what to do. If there was a melody note she had to sing, I would give that on the top of my chord. So when I was setting up the song, say something like, I don't know, Summertime. So there's the melody note there. Da, da, da. Da, da, da. So you see there, I was just essentially putting the melody on the top of my chord, and therefore the singer will know exactly what to do and when to do it, and that just makes everything go smoothly, right? So Robert says, yeah, man, you could host different instrumentalists and highlight what you need to pay attention to. Playing with piano, sax, singer, bass, be very unique and educational. Yeah, I've actually thought about doing that, actually getting guests on, not just for the live stream, but actually as part of Guitar Daily. I thought about maybe getting a bass player friend in or something and just say, hey, look, what do you look for in guitarists? And that might help educate us all. And if they say, for example, don't do what Nick Granville does, then I'll be like, right, you're fired, get out. It's funny, I so often want to play just guitar like this. It just feels more comfortable. I don't know why, like kind of classical style, sort of on that front knee. Does anyone else feel that way? I did actually have a classical background. When I first started playing, I played classical guitar for a little bit, and I still do on occasion. I can do some classical guitar, although I definitely wouldn't say I was a classical guitarist, but I can do some. But funny enough, the reason I like playing like this most is as a teenager, in my early teenage years. I started playing when I was 10, and we had a bunch of different little guitars around the house and whatever. But one of my first kind of real serious guitars was an Ibanez Flying V, and it had been, because they're in a V shape. You can't sit with it like this or it just slides off your leg. So I had to kind of sit like this with the one side of the V there and one side of the V there. So that's actually why I sit like this so often. RW says, I think we talked, was it Ron or Rob last time? RW, so yes, do you Django? Yes, I do the gypsy jazz thing, playing that sort of style of music. I have a gypsy jazz guitar up there. I haven't played it in so long. We haven't had many gigs doing that stuff. There's a band I play with called Hot Cafe. There's a couple of videos on my YouTube channel if you want to check them out. Can't particularly remember which ones I posted, but there's some of us doing that stuff, and I like it. I'm definitely no purist when it comes to gypsy jazz, the Django style. The way I do it is I still alternate pick like I do when I'm playing electric guitar. I don't want to have a different technique for when I play gypsy stuff to everything else. And the interesting thing about the gypsy stuff is I personally just don't like this. Rod, that's right. Thank you, Rod. I personally just don't think the gypsy sounds that great on electric guitar. Like Borelli, I mean, he's amazing, but when I hear him play electric, I don't particularly like the tone he gets because he's still lots of heavy-handed down picks, right? Which is what you do when you're playing gypsy stuff. Although I did hear this thing recently of Borelli, and he sounded amazing on electric guitar, and he was playing fingerstyle. Go figure. Some guy says, I have a PV Orange County Choppers Edition that is shaped real funky. PV Orange County Choppers Edition. I don't know that one. Never heard of it. I played a few PV guitars that have been pretty good, actually. Funny enough, I used to teach at a high school 25 years ago. I know, I'm showing my age now. And schools always have those beat up old guitars that are sitting around in the corner, and 9 out of 10 of them are rubbish, and then the 10th one is usually rubbish too, but slightly not as rubbish, right? And they had this PV guitar that was beat up to heck, but it was just cool. It had this mojo about it. It was awesome. It was just a great guitar, and I often thought, gee, I'd like that one. I was just in a school the other day. I did a workshop for the MIFA festival on Wednesday and Thursday. I did two, one on Wednesday and one on Thursday, and they had an Ibanez Blazer. Do you remember those ones? The Ibanez Blazer guitars, and they're pretty cool, like Strat type Ibanez guitar. I like that, and that one was pretty cool. It was the best guitar they had in the school. And saying that, like I said, it's still beat up to death, but it's not as beat up as the others. It's just something about kids, when they get instruments, you've got to be able to let them do their thing with it, right? And so it's not theirs, so they kind of trash it. And there's also something too about teenagers. I've noticed that they kind of blinker vision. It's like they don't see anything out over here. You even see it when they're walking around the halls. Hey, you see these kids kind of like banging into things, and it's like Mississippi. What's Mississippi? Is that the guitar? One thing I like about this guitar now with these new pickups is I'd describe the lower strings. They almost sound piano-like to me. It's the only way I can kind of... Mississippi is where PVSC called it. I see. Right. I've had a bunch of different PV amps over the years too. I don't think I've owned a PV bass. I had a PV bass. I sold that. I don't remember selling it. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I gave it to someone. I don't know. But I had a PV bass at one point. And I've had a bunch of PV amps. And actually my favorite PV amp was the PV Classic 50 4x10. I had one of those, and that was really good. Those amps sound great. The EL84, which I don't normally like. I'm normally like the bigger tubes. The EL84s are usually like Voxy, but the Classic 50 4x10 was particularly good. I had a 212 as well. I didn't like the 212 as much, although it was still a really good amp. But the 4x10 PV Classic 50 was great, really good. I had a Classic 30. I've had a couple of Classic 30s, and they actually work really well. Also, they seem to be pretty reliable and kind of bulletproof. Really, you had the 2x12, nice. You click PV Backstage. What's PV Backstage? Is that a type of amp? There used to be a time when like every school in New Zealand had a PV Bandit. Do you remember those PV Bandits? They were never particularly good, but you could make it work. Do you know what I mean? Although I heard some kids the other day playing through one, and one of the kids had a Strat and he put it on the 2 pickup thing. On that sort of sound, and it was great. It sounded really good. Had the 112, the 212, the small wattage solid state. Oh, cool. Quick question before I head out. Robert says, "Yeah, what is your favorite effects panel And which are the first three pedals you should pick up according to you? Okay, so I guess what you mean by favorite effects panel is like pedal board that you put them on. Is that what you mean? Three effects you should start with. I'd start with some kind of overdrive, right? Generally, I like clean amps. I like Fender amps. I've kind of been from that background. Fender, it doesn't have to be Fender. Like my main two amps are Victoria amps. So I have the 1x12 and I have the 4x10 bassmen. So basically a Tweed Deluxe and a Tweed bassman. They're hand built. They're really nice amps, which is kind of one of the key things. And what I do with that amp is I basically get it to the point of breakup where it's not quite distorting, and then I kick it over with pedals, right? Some people really like tube screamers. I'm not a fan of tube screamers anymore. I have a collection of a heap of tube screamers. And one of the main reasons is both those amps are Tweed amps. I find Tweed amps got a lot of mid-range already. You add a mid-range heavy like a tube screamer pedal, it doesn't really work particularly great. I would say a really good place to start. Gee, what would be a good? Check out the Keeley Blues Disorder. I've been really impressed with that pedal. I got one of them up there, and I use it a fair bit. It's really good, and what I like about it is it has an OCD circuit in it, which is one of my favorites. I have an old OCD, a version 1.6, which is super rare, which I use a lot. You'll have seen if you saw that pedal board I put together for We Will Rock You, that was what I used in addition to the Dude. I didn't take the Blues Disorder for that particular show because I had the OCD plus the Dude, but the Blues Disorder does an OCD circuit and a Blues Breaker circuit, the Marshall one, which is two classics. So you can do a hell of a lot with that. You can do a bluesy tone, you can do a rock kind of tone, right? So I'd start with one of those. If your amp doesn't have reverb, you should get reverb. My favorite reverb pedal is actually the Flint by Strymon. I have one up there. It's really fantastic. Any pedal board I'm going to put together is going to have a Flint on it, probably. Unless I have reverb in the amp or I'm running pedals into a model and that's different then. You know what I mean? But Flint pedal would give you your reverb and really good tremolos. It's not my favorite reverb of all time. I prefer the Hall of Fame pedals for reverbs. But the fact that it has reverb and tremolo on one pedal, one 9-volt, it's brilliant. And it's a good reverb and it's an excellent tremolo. The harmonic tremolos in there is one of the best. And I go a delay pedal of some sort. The Strymon Timeline is one that I've got there that's really excellent. That pedal came out over 10 years ago and it still sounds the business, right? The Line 6 DL4s are really good. They're legendary and that was reissued, so that would get you a heap of delay sounds. Or if you want something small, I like the Keeley Echoes or the Keeley Halo, the Andy Timmons thing. Those are brilliant. So, you know, I'd go a Blues Disorder for some kind of the dual flavored overdrive, so you've got options. I'd go some kind of delay, and I'd go some kind of reverb tremolo pedal like the Flint. It should be. I could do anything with those pedals, and maybe a tuner. Although you don't have to have a tuner, you could have a clip-on tuner. Hope that helps, Robert. Yeah, cheers, man. That sound there is actually is in the Fractal, but it's their model. They call it the Aurora, which is basically the Halo. The Andy Timmons multi-tap thing. Andy's a legend. Play another tune. Yeah, why don't I do that? Let's have a look and see what we got. I used to just look for tracks on YouTube. It's kind of fun. Okay, so here's one I haven't played before. This is Jazz Fusion Minor Blues Jam Track in C minor, right angles. This is by Ben's Jam Tracks. We'll see. I'll probably get a copyright notice for this because these tend to show up on that, but that's fine. I don't mind because I did actually use his track. The ones I object to of the copyright notices is when you get the stuff that is unrelated. like I did Star Wars in the live stream the other day, and I just played the Star Wars theme, you know. I forget why I even did. I was discussing something, and it got pinged as the Prague Symphony Orchestra, just electric guitar. So I contested it. I was like, no, it's not that, on principle. But if this one does, it's totally good because Ben's jam tracks are really good. I think his stuff is great. I don't know what this track is. I have not played it before. Is there a chord progression? Looks to be a minor blues. Oh yeah, but it's got an interesting turnaround. It goes. Right, let's skip that. So there's this little intro. So C minor. There you go. So yeah, that's Ben's Jam Tracks. You should go and subscribe to his channel if you haven't already, because I have. And there's some really good stuff in there. That's kind of a fun track to play on. So I really like that turnaround. I need to adjust the strap. It's still not filling in the right place. I've been trying to get some strap locks for this guitar. It's just got regular whatever. These aren't even the ones that came on it. Just about everything on this guitar has been changed. But I want to get some strap blocks. I've been trying to buy just the bit that goes here. I don't want to have to buy that plus the bit that goes onto the strap, because I've already got 3 or 4 of them on straps now. Any questions? Anything you want to know? Yeah, his tracks are fun. That guy's stuff is great. Ben's Jam Tracks. Oh, thank you. It says, love the spacing you're using. So I think you mean space that I'm leaving. Yeah, I always try to. I mean, I play guitar, so it's easy to kind of overplay, right? We all do it. We're all guilty of it sometimes. But there's something, about space that's real powerful, right? If you go... Like, even when I'm holding that note up, if I'm letting it sustain across, it's like, I'm still filling the space, but I'm not filling it with notes. I'm filling it with, like, there's room for it to breathe. Or I go... Just let it breathe for a while. Yeah, it's fun. I wonder if that'll show up yet. Photos. Oh, how's that? Oh, don't know. Any questions? Anything you want to know? I'm probably gonna have to go in a moment because I've been going for just about an hour. I try and limit these to about an hour. I find an hour's about long enough, and also what I find is the internet connection seems to slow right down a lot of the time after that. Welcome to New Zealand. So yeah, like I mentioned, I'm really enjoying playing this guitar at the moment, mostly because I mentioned it earlier. It's an old friend. This guitar I've had a long time, and we've done a lot of playing together. I really started my professional career on this guitar. I bought this guitar because I wanted something that wasn't a Strat, but kind of did that thing. But it turns out it didn't really do that anyway. But I used this heaps when we did all those TV shows like Dancing with the Stars and what have you. This guitar was one of the ones that was always there. And like I said, what I like about it too is that I don't see other people playing this guitar. Right? I don't know. I've never seen anyone kind of playing a custom 22-3 soap bar. So I'm quite liking that. And there's this real, like I said, this real piano-like quality to this. Especially the low sound strings, but not nasty on the top either. That pickup and that pickup. Just works, right? Any quick questions before I wrap up, people? Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you being here. I really like that guitar player, the guy with Bryan Adams, Keith Scott. If you don't know Keith Scott, you should go and check him out. He's kind of been Bryan Adams' right-hand man on all of those things. The lead player. Man, he gets a great sound. It's a Strat into a Marshall. I don't think he uses a lot of pedals. Maybe he uses a couple of things, but he kind of, I guess he just plays loud and but he gets a real singing kind of sound out of it. It's just perfect for that band, you know. Perfect for Bryan Adams' vocal, because his vocal is quite raspy, and so having that real smooth singing but kind of distorted sound like for the guitar just works really well. I think that was Keith Scott playing those parts. I saw that Bryan Adams is actually playing in New Zealand next year in February, in Auckland though. Nobody ever comes to Wellington for some reason. I don't blame them, because there's no real venues here that they could play at, and smaller population, just 500,000, whereas there's 2 million people in Auckland, so that's where they're going to go. So I'm tempted to go up. It's been a long time since I've been up to Auckland to go and see a gig, but I reckon that'll be a good one. Bryan Adams had a lot of hits, you know? A lot of hits over the years. Great singer, great band, killer band. He's had the same band lineup for a long time, so... Anyway, folks, I'm going to have to wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining me for this live stream. As I mentioned, I did a little bit later today, kind of got caught up with other things. But that's cool. But I already put out a video today. But I have a bunch of things planned for videos coming over the next little while. I'm still planning to get that David Beebe interview done. I ran into a bit of a technical issue with that one, because I was recording from my end of the screen. So it's going to take some time to sit down and try and figure out how to get the audio in sync with the picture. Because there's no, on the feed, the video feed, there's no audio on it. So, and I noticed too, they were drifting out of sync with each other, so I'm going to have to do it bit by bit. And it's going to take some time, but I'm committed to getting that one done, so it'll be good. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.